What's up, Chat Sports? It's your man Lloyd Spence for NBA Now, and I got your latest NBA rumors and news as we inch closer to the February 7th trade deadline. This should be one of the best trade deadlines we've seen in a long time, but unfortunately we got to start in a very somber place, and this one kind of hit a little close to home for me because this is a young man that I had the pleasure of covering while he was in college. Victor Oladipo will miss the rest of this season with that terrible quad tendon injury that he had the other day. And man, that's a big loss for this Indiana Pacers team. But it makes them immediate buyers in the market. They're going to have to go out and do something to replace that productivity and to maybe shake up that team just a little bit. So watch this team. It could get real interesting real fast with them. I think they're going to make a strong play for either two people, either Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in some kind of three-team deal. I'm hearing a lot about a three-team deal for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and I'm also hearing Mike Conley. Since Mike Conley has obviously been announced that he's on the market for a trade opportunity, it looks like he may end up back in Indiana and back in the home state playing for the hometown team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Man, such a big loss, but somebody like Mike Conley can come in, I think, and bring the stability to that franchise that they need at this time. So it'll be interesting to see what the Pacers do going forward. And I tell you what, I am excited to see what's going to happen in this market. This is going to be a crazy trade deadline, and there's going to be a lot of buyers, there's going to be a lot of sellers, and the sellers are quickly taking shape. And I got about 5 teams that I think you need to be watching out for as big-time sellers. They are ready and open for business. And the first, like we said a minute ago, is the Memphis Grizzlies. Mike Conley's in his third year of his 5-year, $153 million deal. He's averaging about 20 points a game. He's going to be a great fit for somebody. And I think he's going to make somebody an instant contender to possibly maybe come out of the East. I'm thinking it's going to happen in the East. Maybe not so much in the West, but definitely in the East. He could change a franchise almost instantaneously. The other Memphis Grizzly that's on the market is Marc Gasol. He's in the 4th year of his 5-year, $110 million contract. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Marc Gasol as well. Marc is an interesting player because he's that guy who is that traditional big, and as the game has sped up over the years, Marc's role has kind of diminished a little bit, but he's still a great player, still a veteran presence, and I think he'll be a good fit for somebody as we head toward the second half of the season. Another team to watch out for, as they've also announced that they are going to be big-time sellers, is the New York Knicks. So there's a couple of players there. Tim Hardaway, the shooting guard, young shooting guard. He's on the 3rd year of his, he has 3 years left on his deals. 3 years, $17 million, I think is the amount that's left on his deal. But he's playing great this season. He's having a phenomenal season. 19 points a game. He is playing great. I think he would make a great addition. Still very young. He'd make a great addition on somebody's team to plug and play right instantly. Now, the disgruntled player that's the Knicks are putting forth is Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter has struggled as a Knick for well, let's be honest. Enes Kanter has struggled all throughout his entire career, and he just hasn't found that great fit yet. He's playing great. He's averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds when he plays, but his role in the Knicks uniform has been diminished tremendously, and so much so that he came out just the other day and said, either trade me or play me. So I think his days as a Knick are coming quickly to an end. He is definitely fallen out of grace with the head coach there, and so you should see him come up in some trade rumors and trade opportunities very quickly. And he has a very favorable contract. He's only got 1 year left on that contract, so to be able to take an Enes Kanter and pull $18 million off the book after 1 year, that's a pretty good opportunity. One that a lot of people aren't talking about, and I think you may see this one as well. He has a very friendly contract. That's Lance Thomas. Lance Thomas is just one of those guys that's a sneaky veteran presence. Not playing a lot, but you could probably pull him in, get some production off the bench from him, and he also becomes a free agent at the end of the season. Okay, so that's my second team, the Knicks, but I also believe that the Atlanta Hawks are going to be big-time players, big-time sellers as they go forward this season. The Atlanta Hawks with Kent Bazemore. Kent Bazemore, the shooting guard who's averaging about 14 points a game. He's got a pretty favorable contract as well. 2 years, $18 million, about $18 million left on the contract. Should be interesting to see what you do with Kent Bazemore. He's an energy guy, so I think he's the kind of player that you could bring in, bring him off the bench. He could come in, energize your team. Not playing a lot in Atlanta right now. This is the perfect time to pull the trigger on a Kent Bazemore. But a big name that you're going to hear throughout the trade deadline is Dwayne Dedmon. Dwayne Dedmon is a center who is a phenomenal defensive presence. He's a strong big. He just has a real strong presence in the middle. He's quick. He's averaging about 10 points a game, and he's got a 1-year, $7 million deal. So it's perfect. He's the perfect trade deadline deal for one of the contenders to go grab him, pull him in, and get some productive minutes off the bench using a Dwayne Dedmon. So I think Dwayne Dedmon is pretty much a done deal. It's just a matter of where he's going to go. Okay, my fourth team, Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers, we've talked about them a few times. They're definitely in the fire sale mode. And I know a lot of people are thinking the big name that's probably going to be around that trade talk rumors area is Kevin Love, but I'm thinking it's going to be more like Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood has a 1-year, $3.5 million trade contract, and even though he has a no-trade clause, Rodney Hood could go to a contender right now and be very, very productive. A team that needs defense, a team that needs a strong wing kind of player, even though he's a shooting guard, a long wing kind of player with some experience. Rodney Hood could be a great fit for somebody who is looking to plug and play, a great defensive player who can shoot the ball fairly well in transition. So I think Rodney Hood could be a big time trade bait for somebody. And then finally, the Chicago Bulls, they've already put it out there that Jabari Parker is the guy that they're trying to move. Jabari Parker has kind of still not really found that team as well. He's one of those guys that just hasn't gelled with anybody yet. You know, you thought that maybe that this Chicago situation would work out, but with the firing of the head coach, it kind of left Jabari Parker kind of in limbo. And so now we're looking at a situation where Jabari Parker could be on the move, still a very young player, still got some spring in his step, finding his way back from the injuries that he's had. And he's interesting. Now, the challenge for him is that it's 2 years, his contract is 2 years and $20 million. So when you take a Jabari Parker, you're really taking the investment and saying, we believe in you, we believe that you can be a player here on this team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jabari Parker, but I guarantee you the Chicago Bulls are going to be very, very aggressive in trying to move him during this trade deadline. So those are my top 5. It'll be interesting to see what happens February 7th at 3 p.m. where we are with all these things. So now, before we get into the buyers, let's talk a little bit about the Los Angeles Lakers, because I think they're going to kind of play in both roles, both buyer and seller. And this is a team who is trying to figure this thing out. I don't think they have it quite figured out because of the way that this season has unfolded. I don't know if you can really say what the Lakers are right now. Are they a top 4 team who plays well and can compete for a championship when LeBron is there? Or are they a non-playoff team that has no shot to make it with or without LeBron? So it's going to be interesting to see, because their players have not quite pulled together like you thought they would. And so the Lakers have to make a decision. Do they want to win now and try to make a run at a deep playoff run right now, or do they just want to try to play this season out, get the best of what they can get, develop their young players, and then play out or save all of their assets for the summer? So there's some options that they have. They have the options going into the deadline. The most viable one, the one that a lot of people are talking about, is just Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, you know, we all know that he was traded to the Bulls for cash, and so it looks like he'll be available. So all they have to do, the Lakers have to do to get Carmelo Anthony is just make a roster spot. The most likely casualty will probably be Michael Beasley. So if they just waive Michael Beasley, bring in Melo, maybe that's the scoring they need that'll help them put them over the top. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Another opportunity that they could do, they could go big right now. They could go and pull the trigger on the Anthony Davis trade, package up a real nice package for the New Orleans Pelicans, and go get Anthony Davis right now and begin that process of transition and see what happens with that. I don't know if the New Orleans Pelicans will be ready to do that now, but The Lakers have nothing to lose to put it out there to them, so they may make that opportunity and make that appeal to the Pelicans to see what could happen. They can also go just after a second star right now as well. There's a lot of guys out there who are going to be in free agency coming into this next year. Teams don't want to lose them for nothing. So maybe this is the time to go out and try to get that second star right now. Again, package up those assets and go and get the guy right now and compete with LeBron. I think this injury to LeBron has said a lot to the Lakers, and it's going to make them think real long, real hard about going to get that second star right now. And then finally, maybe they just stand pat. Maybe they just say, you know what, we're doing okay. When LeBron gets back, we'll be just fine. Let's just wait till the summer of 2019 and take our chances. All things are risky. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I'd love to hear your comments of what you think the Lakers should do at the trade deadline. Leave those comments down at the bottom there for us. And I'm very interested to see what this team does, because I think all things can work. But they're going to be really careful because they want to maximize these years that they have left with LeBron James. Okay, and let's stay with the Lakers for just a second, because I got to tell you, watching the game last night was so disappointing. They got danged by Luol Deng. It was crazy to see this guy who they're paying still dominate them in tremendous fashion last night. And since LeBron has been out, they have truly slipped in the standings. They've gone from what was a 5 seed to a 9 seed, which is not even a seed, but they're 9th in the West. But they're having a trouble pulling this thing together, and this young team is not really coming together like you thought they would. They're showing flashes, great flashes. You see things with Kuzma and with Ingram from time to time. They have decent games, but nothing sustainable. And man, the late game foes are becoming legendary now. I mean, they're losing leads late practically in every game they play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Now, there's some rumor that LeBron James may be back this Sunday against the Suns. Hopefully that will be true, but this team definitely needs to build some momentum going forward. And speaking of momentum, man, it looks like order has finally been restored to the West, as the Golden State Warriors are on a tear right now. I mean, they are on a 9-game winning streak. They are dominating like never before, and it's unbelievable. You know, we all thought the Boogie Cousin thing was a big deal when we saw it initially, but man, this really is a big deal because this spreads the floor like no other. But they still need some depth. They still need some depth at that position, at the center position. And with Damian Jones being out with that pectoral muscle tear and that surgery he had, they're going to need somebody to come in. So watch them also be players in it as well, as buyers as well. They're going to be looking for a 5. And there's some viable candidates out there. One we talked about already in Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter, very disgruntled. He could be a very viable player in a Warriors uniform. There should be some buyouts going forward in Sacramento with Zach Randolph, or buyouts in Chicago with Robin Lopez. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see those guys as available as well, and watch them matriculate over to the Warriors. And then, of course, you got Dwayne Dedmon. I think Dwayne Dedmon would be great in a Warriors uniform. I think he'd be great off the bench. It'll be interesting to see what the Warriors do going forward. So that leads us to who are going to be the buyers going forward in this trade deadline. And I think, again, the number one buyer is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. They got to find some scoring from somewhere. They got to shore up that bench and make sure that there's no drop-off and leads aren't being lost. So, again, don't be surprised if the Lakers are very aggressive through the trade deadline and trying to fill in that spot. Another, again, is the Warriors. The Warriors, a great team, already ahead of the pack, but they want to shore up that bench because they know what a playoff grind looks like. They're going to probably go find a big. Don't be surprised they're aggressive as well. And then, of course, the Rockets. The Rockets need a wing player. They need a new Trevor Ariza badly to help them on the defensive side of the ball. And so watch them go out and find another wing to the trade deadline. Watch them find another wing to play alongside of James Harden, who's having a phenomenal season right now. And then, of course, the things that the Warriors are doing is putting pressure on everybody. So there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of the contenders, the Portlands, the Utahs, they're going to be in the mix, I think, for some of these players. Now, they don't necessarily have the tradable assets, but don't be surprised if a Utah or a Portland sneaks in and steals one of these viable trade options. So it should be a fantastic trade deadline frenzy, and you can catch it here, right here on NBA Now with me, Lloyd Spence, and on Chat Sports. And you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the little bell down there because you want to be able to get notifications as soon as the things pop up in the trade deadline. And we got updates and going all the time, so you want to stay abreast of all of our update videos. So as news break, you want to be next to Chat Sports to get that information. So I'm Lloyd Spence, and you've been listening to NBA Now on Chat Sports.